This is Kate, live at 5. I am back. I had a day off yesterday and I did cook but didn't show it. So today I am here cooking risotto. This is something that both the girls love, especially Mabel. This is one of her favourites. I have to admit I'm not particularly great at risotto. I'm never particularly convinced that it's come out the way it should. I think often for me it kind of feels too stodgy and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. Hi Laura, hi Sam. Anyway, so I'm gonna cook it anyway because I cook it regularly. If I'm doing something wrong, please tell me, because I'm not convinced the way I do it is particularly great. I don't know, maybe I can just blame the rice, I'm not sure. Anyway, so I have got my ingredients here. It takes obviously quite a long time to cook and mix and stuff, so I don't quite know how it's going to go in terms of how long it's all going to pan out. But anyway, so I've got my ingredients. I have got risotto rice, arborio. I've got a glass of wine. I don't usually put wine in it, but I thought for this I might as well. I've got a stock cube, small onion, I've got some leek which I'm going to add. I'm going to wave at you just because that's what you're supposed to do. I've got a couple of, now in the past I have just done regular risotto, like a creamier one, and then a couple of times I had a tiny bit of like tomato. This is obviously left over from my Monday's 7 veg bolognese. We've eaten some of it. And in the past I've added like a dollop of that I've had left over, just like a tiny bit. And Mabel really liked the slightly tomatoey. It's only a touch, it's just something extra. So I am going to add, I won't add that today, but I will add a couple of sun-kissed tomatoes and a tiny bit of the red pesto. Carrots, and I've got my bacon rashers, which I'm only going to do 4. You don't have to have the bacon, but if there's no meat in it, I get complaints, so I kind of figure 4 rashers of bacon, yeah, there's meat in it, that'll do. And I always put a little bit of salad underneath it because I kind of feel like it needs a bit of something extra. And obviously celery, my classic onion, celery, carrots. Yeah. Right, so I'm going to make a start. Trying to think what I've got to do first. So I will fry off the onion first. Actually, no, I won't. I should have put the oven on. I'm going to put the oven on for the bacon. But actually, the bacon just gets added right in the last minute. So. So I'm just going to put the bacon in a pan, and that will, in a tray, that will go in the oven. I'm only going to do 4 because I've only got 4, but that's enough. I'd never do any more than that. But 4 is, it's just to have like that extra bit of crispiness on the top. You could put whatever, and I'm sure there's lots of other things you could do, but it's perfectly nice without bacon. It's just to appease the meat eaters more than anything. Right, okay. So, but it is nice with bacon, to be honest. Right, I've just whacked that in there. Now that will all curl up and it'll disintegrate into quite a lot of nothing. But I'm going to put that in a hot oven. I will have to look after this because so often I burn this. So I'm going to put a timer on for 10 minutes to begin with, because it'll take 5 minutes for the oven to heat up. If I need to crisp up towards the end, I'll put the grill on, as I usually do. Right, onion. I'm going to put some oil in my frying pan. I just use a frying pan. I'm also going to put the kettle on, obviously for the water for the stock. And what I will do this time, which I don't usually do because I'm lazy. Now, in theory, I think you're supposed to add hot stock all the time. So I know that some people have a pan on the hob with the stock in, and add it ladle by ladle. So I will do that and see if it makes a difference. But I've done it a couple of times and didn't really think it made a difference. It's still kind of felt stodgy. Maybe risotto's supposed to be stodgy. I don't know. Anyway, right. So I'll add that. And I'll add water to that. Put the grill on. I'm going to add some leek just because I like to see a bit of colour. I'm not particularly great with some pasta or anything that's just like got like 1 veg or 2 veg in it. I always have to go crazy and add lots of different things. Right, so I'm going to chop this pretty fine. Not really, really fine, but just quite fine. And I will cook this first. A little bit. And I'll add the leek. Now, I tend to cook the onion fully and then add the risotto rice. I think that's okay, I don't know really. I just kind of make it up as I go along and then wonder why it doesn't go right. I did look at a couple of recipes today, but it didn't seem to make much. It seemed to pretty much do what I've been doing, say what I've been doing. Right, okay, just gonna, this is a bit of leek I've had left over and I'll add a bit of extra. We'll chop the leek a bit finely. What have you been up to, guys, today? Are you cooking or are you done? Right, okay. Happy birthday, Katie! What are you doing, Sam, today? Are you cooking for Katie today, Sam? Right. Let me make sure I'm scrolled, because last time... Oh, hi, Michelle! You're cooking, are you, or are you done? Right, last time I scrolled up to wave at people and then forgot to scroll back down and then didn't see that other people had joined. Right, so I'm just frying off the onions. I'm going to turn this down because it's too high. I think with the risotto it's probably supposed to be done delicately and it's probably not something I do, so that's probably my issue. Right, I'm just washing the leek. But before doing that, I'm going to add the boiled water to this pan at the back that's got the stock cube in. I'm just going to, I don't know, I tend to think it needs quite a lot of water. I don't really measure it, love a risotto. Hi Helen! Right, so I am washing my leek, that's what I'm doing. I need to cut this. Sorry, I should have washed this. This is a very dirty one. The leek, that is. Right, black. Right, I've just heard the others arrive on the drive, which means they'll clatter in shortly and not realise I'm doing this. Right, okay. Just chopping this leek. Frying off the onions. Now, you're not supposed to get colour on them, apparently. That's something I read today. These have got a tiny, tiny bit of colour, but I won't let get any more on them. And I'll add the leek shortly. I'll take that a bit out. Oh, and there's still mud in it. Oh, I'll do this. Right, okay. Maybe I add too many vegetables, and that's what makes my risotto more stodgy than I would like it to be. I don't know. Hi! Hi. You right? Yeah.
Risotto.
Hi, Lambert!
Hi! Oh yeah. Hello, Lambert.
Right, okay.
Alexa, what time is it?
Right, I'm going to add the leeks.
5 o'clock.
See, when I do this, usually they say add the risotto rice and the onion. And when I do that, I think, oh, there's too much in the pan. I can't really do that because I've added leek. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of butter to that. Just because it's nice leeks and butter. Like that. And I'll leave that to fry for a bit. Yeah?
Well, Mummy's busy, isn't it?
TV?
No, I'm
Right, okay.
not.
Right, okay. Well, the tablet's somewhere. Sorry.
I'm not playing with me.
Never had a non-stodgy risotto. Yeah, I know. I know, that's the thing I was saying earlier. I just said just now that I don't know if I do something wrong or I don't know. It does. And it's if I leave it on the top, it just seems to then, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see.
Well, you have to stand over it. It's only risotto.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Mister. I know everything.
Well, it's
I'm not.
the law.
Right. I'm just cooking off these leeks a little bit, and then what I will do actually is I'll take that out, and then I'll just add the rice. Take half of that out, add the rice to it, and then go from there. Right. I'm gonna get my this, and because I'm cooking this quite not too hot today, I can add my garlic and it won't burn. I'm adding a clove of garlic. I'll just mix that in. Smells nice. What I did forget to add, so I've got water on the back here boiling with the stock cube in. What I did forget to add was I forgot to add parmesan. So that obviously needs to be on the list. Right, okay, so I'm going to prepare the leeks. I'll prepare the... So the other thing I saw today was the celery, you add the onion. But I tend to do it separately. I don't know if I need 2 stalks, probably just 1.5. Anyway, I've got half a carrot here that I used a bit of last night. Peel these. It's here, look. Well, there's one here. Right, I'm going to chop the carrots kind of relatively finely. I'm a bit crazy. I kind of have a need to add loads of veggies to everything I cook. And so I think subsequently my food ends up tasting all a bit samey. I can't quite get out of the habit. I just feel weird doing a risotto just with onions and, you know, celery. Doesn't feel right. Anyway, so I'm going to add, so those are probably okay. What I will do now is I will take a bit of that off the cube. I'm just going to take half of it out. Put my pan back on, and then I'm going to add the risotto rice. Hey Christina. Right, I'm going to add the risotto rice. Actually, I should have added some oil. I never know, it's sort of about that much. Kind of, oh, actually, I might as well use it all. It's not much. Yeah, about that much. Very accurate, isn't it? Add a bit more oil to that, and then I'll just coat that risotto rice with the oil. And I read somewhere that it goes a bit translucent. Now I think sometimes I overcook this risotto rice because I read that you should, I know in the past I've nearly burnt it, still ate it, it's fine. I'm just going to, right, that's the bacon, so I'm going to check that just to make sure it's not burning. Which no it's not, it's fine, so I'm going to put that on for another 6 minutes. Right, so that risotto rice. Leave it on there for about a minute, and then I'll add that and the carrots I will continue to chop, and I'm going to add these carrots in with the celery. I'm probably a bit too far over, aren't I, today? I have to concentrate a bit. Right, there you go. Just chopping the carrots kind of quite finely, just into cube-ish shapes. I'm going to get my trusty thing. Oh, I did baked beans in it today. Right, okay. They have to be in that. Okay, so that's just fried off in there a little bit. So what I'll do is I will add the rest of these onions and leeks and then give that a mix. Now, I didn't have any wine. I had tiny bit of risotto. Not what am I talking about? I did have a tiny bit of prosecco. I don't know, it's probably close enough, but I'll have to do. Right, so I'm going to turn that up, tiny smidge, and then I'm going to add the risotto. The prosecco. So, and then I'll just let that sizzle for a bit. Doesn't sound very sizzly. Right, carrots go in here. See, carrots go in there like that with some celery. I'll probably do 1.5 stalks. This celery was pretty strong in the. What was it I did the other night? I can't remember. Oh yeah, in my 7 veggie pasta, the celery was quite strong, and I'd cut it quite large. Nobody complained. It was only me that noticed it, but I think this new green celery is pretty. It's either new. I think it's got to be new, and it's like really tough. You can tell because it's very noisy, and it's quite green and not very white, and it's quite strong. Probably better celery maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it seems quite tough. Right, I'm going to add that celery to that. I'm going to add more celery than that. Right, just give this a stir. Yeah, that's got the second. Right, so I pretty much boiled most of that bloody water away, which is a bit stupid. Right. As you can see, I'm chopping it quite fine. Yeah, it's pretty tough. I don't know. I suppose it's just... Right, and I'm going to add some water to this and then steam this in the microwave. So I've got that on for 2.5 minutes at the moment. Right, so I'll just stir that up. Yeah, so that's already, you can see that's kind of softening a bit. Right, it smells winey. Right, and then I will start with a ladle to add my stock. It's my stock now. I should probably use decent stock like bouillon and stuff like that, but I don't. I just use kind of cheap little stock. I have tried bouillon before. I think sometimes it's quite strong, I think, and I think I may have over added and it got a bit salty or something. Right, I'm just going to tidy up a little bit. Right, garlic can go away, garlic's done. Now I might end up having to add some more water to that pan and some more stock, so I'm going to put another kettle on. And what I tend to do is add the carrots and the celery kind of 3/4 of the way through. I don't know why, just because I tend to think this is quicker or something, doing it like this. I kind of want this rice to cook properly. And the less vegetables in there, the easier to cook it will be to cook. That's what I kind of figure. So I think the idea with risotto is that you basically got to keep it moving. It's one of those things you can't just kind of leave, although regularly I do. Now it says you're supposed to add like a ladle at a time until it's all absorbed, but I also saw a recipe today. Basically said to just whack it all in and do it all, so who knows. It's another ladle. I should have also looked at how much water you add stock. I didn't, I just kind of go with what I feel. And you can tell obviously when it's cooked. Although it seems to take quite a long time, so you're sort of adding more and then you're sort of thinking, oh gosh, all this is cooked already, but sometimes it's not. Right, I'm going to take that off there because it's hot enough. See, this is where it gets a bit boring, this. So I don't really know whether to... Because I don't know, this is probably going to take like 20 minutes. So I'm not really sure. So what I'll do is I'll chop up these tomatoes and then I'll obviously add some of that. I tend to add the parmesan towards the end. I'll put this lid correct. Right, I'm going to check on these veggies. 2.5 minutes. Right, check on the bacon. Bacon needs another 7 minutes because I want the bacon to be really crispy. So basically just then chop it all up and add it on top. Mix it in right at the end. Right, so I'm going to add another ladle. Mix it in. Yeah, so I kind of got it on a medium heat, not really hot. Mostly because, actually it's probably quite hot. It's bubbling quite a lot. Probably shouldn't be bubbling that much. So this is the thing, I'm never quite sure if you're supposed to just, I think you're supposed to just do it really slowly. And my problem is I probably do it too quick. Anyway, I'm going to put the celery away. So I've realised that finding dishes to do live, and just sort of think, no, I could do that, and then you sort of think you're going to be able to do it live, and then you think, oh, actually, I can't really do that, and I can't really do that. I have got a couple more that I can definitely do, but certainly some are going to be. I mean, already I've done some that are in 2 parts. I think this might be one of them. It's hot in here today. I need to put the extractor on. Right. Right, so you can see it's kind of starting to get creamy. Like that. It doesn't look like, it smells winey. It doesn't look like it'd be enough for 4, but hopefully it will be. I'll add another ladle. Now what I also actually do, I've suddenly realised, is I tend to add like a squeeze of lemon juice right at the end as well. Just because I kind of seem to for most of my food. Actually, do you know what? I didn't put any thyme in, I should have done that. That's fresh, so it doesn't matter. Right. Test these veggies. Right, this is just the carrot, obviously, and the celery. Carrot's cooked. Celery's right. Right. Right, so what I might do is I might add like a little bit of this, and then at least a bit of that flavour can carry on getting into the veggie, into the thing. I'm going to add sort of half of it probably. And then the risotto rice will obviously take on that flavour, hopefully. I'm moaning about robots, right? Okay, so add another ladle. Right, so I'm going to come back in, I reckon, 10... Hi Janet! I reckon I'm going to come back in like 10 minutes and then I'll finish it off and show you then. Okay, I don't expect you to come back, but I'll be there. See ya! Bye! Hi! Back for part 2 of risotto. The bacon is out of the oven, so that's nice and cooked and crispy. The risotto is doing well. I kind of didn't do it ladle by ladle. I did sort of most of it ladle by ladle, but I did then just add more than a ladle sometimes at a time. Right, so what I tend to do now is I start tasting it. So it's not quite cooked, but it's not far off. So I'm going to add the, I did add another half, not half a stock cube, but maybe like a quarter or a third of a stock cube to the water. And I just literally keep adding water until it's cooked with the stock. Right, so I've added some more water. So that's obviously got more than a ladle of liquid in there, but that'll keep cooking. And obviously also I then added the rest of my veggies, my carrots and my celery. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chop up my sun-blushed tomatoes. These are really nice. I've mentioned them quite a few times. Sun-kissed tomatoes. I much prefer them to sun-dried because I just think sun-dried, something about sun-dried that I don't particularly like. So I'm just going to add like 3-5 of these, and I'm going to add like a teaspoon of my red pesto. This is a different red pesto, so this is roasted red pepper pesto, as I think the other one was just tomato. Kind of same deal. Right, so once I've added the tomato, I'll do that shortly. Then what I will do is I will add... Can you come and clear the table, please? Hi, don't know who that is now, probably just a passerby. Right, so I'm just chopping up the tomatoes to add to the risotto. It's just a little touch of something, and they're not big. I'm just trying to add a bit of depth of flavour, I suppose. So I'll add that. So risotto's doing nicely. It's not far off being there, I reckon. I've obviously got my carrots, my leeks, my onions. Hi, Laura! Thank you for coming back. I'm adding the tomato. I added just like 4 or 5 pieces of these. They just add flavour. I'm going to mix that in, and then I'll add a teaspoon, or just a dollop of the roasted pesto. Just mix that in. So it's just got a slight edge of tomatoey, but it's not even really that much. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. That smells quite strong, so I'm not going to add any more of that. I don't like red pepper that much myself, and that's red pepper pesto. Right, okay, so it's now looking a little bit tinge of pinky. Right, that's probably nearly ready. I'm going to wash this fork and then I'm going to taste it. Ow. Yeah. Needs a tiny bit more cooking. Only over such. I'm going to add a tiny bit more water. And this is my bacon, really nice and crispy. And I'll just take that all out of there, and then I'll chop that and that'll go on top. I tend to add not very much meat. So if I was doing this a chicken risotto, I'd probably only add, you know, like 1 or 2 chicken thighs. I wouldn't add very much, just because it kind of doesn't need it, but if you've got a tiny bit of meat in it, it seems to placate. Right, so I'm just going to chop this up. Some of these are pretty well done. I'll just chop them up, but they would be really nice and tasty on top. Like that. Oh, I should have done this off camera. A bit more. A bit rather. Right, can someone come and clear the table, please? Luke! No one's coming. Mabel, do you want to be my risotto taster shortly? Right. So basically I'm just going to chop those into as small pieces as possible. Don't know where Luke is. He's ignoring me either. Luke! Can you come and clear the table? Mabel! Mabel! Right, okay, so this is nearly ready. What I'm going to do now, actually it doesn't really need cream cheese, but sometimes add a bit of cream cheese just because it's nice. I haven't even got the cream cheese out, so I'm not going to add it. But I'm going to add some parmesan. Could you clear the table a little bit, please?
Yeah.
Hi, people.
Hang on, Wayne. Come on, help me.
Right,
Give me 2
so
minutes.
risotto. I'm going to add some parmesan. Fairly sure that's cooked. Quite a nice chunk of parmesan. Oh, I always do that. So often I drop my parmesan in the food I'm grating in. Right. Give that a stir in. See, it's not... I thought risotto you're supposed to put it on a plate and it's supposed to spread. But mine never spreads. Hi, Sam! Right, so I'm going to add a tiny bit more water to that. It is hot. Just a little bit of more liquid. And I'm going to add a bit of lemon before I add salt, because obviously it's got stock cube in, so it shouldn't need too much salt, and it's got parmesan, which again is salty. Just add a squeeze of lemon. Doesn't actually look quite enough, so I imagine
I could smash half of that.
I imagine I'm going to get, is there any more? And I'm going to say no, so I'll have a small portion tonight, I imagine. Right, okay. Yeah, that's nice. It's got a bit of a zing. I don't think I'm going to put one smidge of salt in, doesn't really need salt, and a tiny bit of pepper. Now Luke will obviously cover this in chilli, because he covers everything in chilli. Right, some risotto. Right, and I think that's it really. And then what I'll do is I'll just add the bacon to the top. Spread it over. Stir that in lightly. Like that. And then, that plate's not clean. Top's not exactly clean. Right, who's going to come and taste the risotto?
Girls, we need a volunteer. Chop, chop! Table!
He's exerting his voice now because he knows it's probably good. Right. Should probably get some nice
Dad, look how hard our
non-chipped
thing down,
plates.
ready?
Right, okay. This will be Mabel's. Actually, do you know what? Three bacon rashers is probably enough. That'll do. Oh damn, do you know what I haven't done? I will re-cook that. Yeah, hang on. Because I like to do this and force them to have.
No!
Shush, go away.
Not the greenery!
This is the rules.
Ready, pick me up.
No.
Then they have to have the leaves. It is the law.
Go.
A little bit more parmesan.
3, 2,
And that's
go.
kids' portion of risotto. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Crispy bacon. Alright, thanks for watching. Are you going to taste it? Come and taste it.
Is the bacon in it already?
Yeah. You need to crouch down. Gonna eat it. There you go.
Yeah.
Don't spill it. Is it too hot?
Really hot.
Mind you, just doing that for effect, you.
Yeah. But it's really
Taste
hot.
it. Stop watching yourself on camera, you vain woman. Take it inside.
Good.
Nice?
Yep.
Thumbs up? Okay, right. Thank
Don't
you! See ya. Oh, look, Laura says, hi, Mabes.
Hi.
Right, speak to you soon. Bye!
Bye.